Brexit was the most astonishing battle because it wasn't just Barack Obama. In fact, it was every single global leader. It was every single major multinational organization. It was every big bank, the JP Morgans, the Goldman Sachses, everybody. It was much of the British media. It was the trade union movement. It was our established political parties. The whole world, it seemed, was on the side of the Remain vote. And we were told that if we voted to leave, our property prices would collapse. The stock market and our pensions would collapse. We were told that the City of London would close down, that foreign and direct investment would cease, that millions of people would be unemployed, that disease would become rife. They didn't quite go as far as telling us that a plague of black locusts would descend upon our country, but they came pretty damn close. And in the face of that, we did what the British archers did years ago to the French at the Battle of Crécy. We stuck up two fingers and we said, we will take back control of our country, our destiny, our lives, our democracy, our liberty, and our freedom. And we won what I think in years to come, perhaps as Tim indicated earlier on, we won what will be seen in years to come as one of the greatest democratic, historic victories and defeats of the rotten establishment that has been seen in the modern Western world. And I spent 25 years of my life devoted to it, fighting for it. I was never, ever intending to be in politics. I was a businessman. I worked in the commodity markets. I worked for Drexel Burnham Lambert back in the 1980s, but I'll keep that out of the autobiography. I spent 20 years in business, the rest of my life in politics, but I believed in my country. I believe that the nation state is the right building block. It's the building block that we accept, perhaps sometimes grudgingly, but we accept paying our taxes to. It is the building block that we wish our children and grandchildren to grow up in, respecting its tradition and its flag and its anthem and all that it stands for. It is the building block that in extremis, our young men and women are prepared to put on military uniforms to go out and fight and defend. The nation state, ladies and gentlemen, allied with respect and understanding for our Judeo-Christian culture, is what the Western civilization that we've come to know and respect is actually based and built on. It is that fundamental, it is that important, and what the globalists have tried to do, and by the globalists I mean virtually everybody for the last 25 or 30 years that has been involved in American or European politics, what they have tried to do is to break down those building blocks and ask us to surrender our loyalties and our liberties up to a higher supranational, international order over which we have no means of democratic control or accountability. That is how fundamental the stakes of Brexit were. And it was when I understood that in about 1990 that I realized that my life had to change. That my life, having left school, worked in the commodities markets, my life that was based on progress, my own life that was based on making money and advancement, that I had to sacrifice all of that to fight for this great higher value. I did it at great personal cost. But you know what? Do you know what? It was why, 2 days after Brexit, when the European Parliament met in Brussels in emergency session, and when I wasn't quite sure what the reaction was going to be. And I walked in that morning, and there I was, and Mr. Juncker from the European Commission was there, and we were surrounded by about 150 photographers, and he whispered in my ear. He said, "You bastard." No, he did. He did. He did. He did. He did. He really did. He really did. I almost wet myself laughing, you know. And when it was my turn to speak, I wasn't sure what reaction I would get from the European elite, the European political classes. But I rose to speak, and I would say about 400 of the 750 MEPs immediately began booing and jeering and chanting. And I thought, you know what, I've had enough of this. Which is why I said 17 years ago, I was elected to this parliament, and I said to you that I would lead and spearhead and fight for a campaign for the United Kingdom to leave this false political union. And you all laughed at me. Well, I said, you're not laughing now,